Welcome to the Sports Circus, live from the AAMP.TV mobile studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or visit them online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Talk 1490 WIRB, as well as those streaming at thesportcircus.com and Hotel Television from coast to coast and in some of these hotels right behind me. All right. Right from the very top, got to tell you, if you want to be driven up the wall, and if you're a baseball fan or a former baseball player like myself, I have to tell you, this is really appalling. Now, the Associated Press had an article come out, and it was about Major League Baseball's proposed safety protocols for let's put it this way, no anything that you can do as a ball player. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. Think about what happens on a baseball field, what happens on a dugout. Right, from high fives to players talking to one another, which sometimes they're really not supposed to do if they are opposing teammates, right? Or not opposing teammates, but opposing teams, right? So your first baseman will sometimes talk to the runner at first base or something like that. Well, guess what? Now, with the new proposed rules that are out for Major League Baseball to return back to normalcy, guess what? It is anything but normal. And so teams will have a short amount of time to vote on this and get the information or get their opinion back to Major League Baseball. And now the bigger question lies, are the games going to be played, let alone the games being played in the very same manner or something that resembles what it was like in yesteryear? And that being just a couple of months ago in spring training. We'll look at it that way. Now, some of these rules, some of these proposals, some of these suggestions are as follows. First and foremost, spitting is prohibited with water jugs and the use of saunas, steam rooms, pools, and cryotherapy chambers on top of all of that. Oh, come on. Look. Now, folks, you may think, well, spitting, why is spitting a big deal? Okay, first of all, when you are sitting on the bench, and let's just say you're in between innings, what do? Sometimes you grab a cup of water, you want to rinse your mouth out because you're sweating to death out there, and you get a little bit warm, whatever. You want to rinse your mouth out and spit the water out somewhere. You got to do it, right? All right, and if you don't like that, if you say, well, maybe the players could just drink the water. Okay, fine. Now, what about the bubblegum? What about the tobacco? What about, more importantly, the sunflower seeds? In fact, and you'll see this if you happen to look in the dugout. I know as a former player, what do we have in there? What do we have in the dugout? We have a container, a large container, a large bucket of sunflower seeds with the name Spitz. 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 And they're specifically named Spitz because you chew them and you just spit the shells out. You chew them, you spit them up. Chew them, you spit them out. The point is, look, if you're not even allowed to have spitting in the dugout, how are you going to have spits in the dugout? I mean, to me, it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. All right. But the idea is, look, as a player, you're not trying to gross the world out by just constantly spitting. I hear it all the time. You spit too much. Well, guess what? It's bubblegum. It's sunflower seeds, whatever the hell it is. The point is, you can't do that. You can't even have the water jug. You can't even have the use of a sauna. I mean, it's not like you're going to have a sauna in the dugout. But come on, you can't even have a water jug in the dugout? I mean, what in the world's that all about? This is stupid. right? Player comes in, player's dying of heat or whatever. And what do you got to do? Send him down the tunnel into the locker room to go get a drink of water from a sterilized water fountain? I mean, how does this work? This is stupid. All right, let's continue on with this. Now, they say hitting indoor cages are discouraged. So in other words, you can't even go into the hitting cages that are sometimes near the locker rooms. And let's just say you've got a big at bat coming up. Let's just say you're down by a couple of runs. And maybe it's the 8th inning or something like that. And you've got your big boppers coming up. Your big contact hitters are coming up. And they're starting to switch pitchers. They're trying to alternate pitchers. All right, this guy comes in, lefty right up matchup, lefty righty matchup. We're trying to get those. And let's say you got a pinch hitter that's going to come in off the bench. Bring the pinch hitter in. We have a power hitter sitting on the bench. And what's going to happen now? That guy needs to get some swings. So we send him down the tunnel and we send him into the hitter's cage so he can get some swings and get loosened up back there. Well, guess what? No, hitting in indoor cages now is discouraged. What are we talking about here? Let's see if we can change every damn rule on top of it. This is so stupid. And of course, batting gloves are encouraged. Some guys don't like to use batting gloves. They like to get the feel for the bat itself. That's like saying, okay, we're going to get a baseball out there and you're going to pitch. And if you're going to pitch, and let's just say you get a ball and you can't rub the baseball down. So guess what? The pitcher always rubs the baseball down because they need to get that slippery surface off it. Now, folks, I don't know if you know this, but when they take a brand new baseball out of the package, that is a very, very slippery thing. And it has to be rubbed down. If you don't rub the baseball down, the ball will literally fly right out of your hand. It's like holding on to a piece of ice. It's very difficult. Now, imagine if you're holding on to that baseball in cold weather on top of it. I grew up in Chicago, and I know what it's like to be out on a pitcher's mound when it's 35 degrees and sleeting and snowing and crap like that. And guess what? Then you get a new baseball. Oh, by the way, you got to rub that baseball down. But what they're saying is, oh, no, you're not going to be able to rub those baseballs down either. And in fact, in the Korean Baseball Organization, which is the most laughable baseball league, professional version of baseball that I think I have ever seen. You want to talk about the bad news bears? This is bad stuff. But they actually have the baseballs already rubbed down for the pitchers, which makes no sense whatsoever. So allegedly, they're not even rubbed down, but they come out of the box with a stickier substance on them, which goes against Major League Baseball in the first place, because you're not supposed to doctor the baseball. In the first place, when you grab that baseball, let me tell you something. That baseball is supposed to be slippery, but you're not allowed to put any substance on it. No moisture, no nothing. That's why the baseballs are always checked by the umpires. And obviously, we want to make sure that there's no pine tar on it, right? We want to make sure that there's no Vaseline on it. Make sure there's nothing on it, because the better the grip on the baseball, the more you can make this baseball spin when you throw it. And the more it spins, the more it dips and dives and curves and all kinds of neat stuff. So, look, we've got a series of problems. Now, let's continue. Batting practice pitchers are to wear masks. Now, look, if you're asking somebody to physically exert themselves, now let me tell you something. Batting practice is no easy thing to throw, because you're constantly throwing, you're constantly throwing. And for all those people that don't know this, I'm going to go ahead and clue you in on something. When it comes to wearing a mask, there's a bigger problem, because technically you have a reduction in your oxygen by 60%. So it increases the risk of carbon dioxide poisoning, also causes increased face touching, viruses and bacteria, and saturated from the outside. Touching mask and surfaces spreads germs, contaminates, sit within the mask fibers itself, etc., etc., etc. So really, fresh air is actually better for your immune system. Why in the world would you put a mask on somebody that's 60 foot 6 inches away from everybody? How stupid and ridiculous is that? And even if you're worried about touching the baseball, guess what? No one's touching the baseball. No, because it's going from the pitcher's mound, and somebody's going to hit the baseball, and it's going to end up out in the outfield somewhere. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. Why in the world would somebody pitching batting practice have to wear a mask? It's the most asinine thing I have heard yet. And I got to tell you, the list goes on and on. And now here's another one for you. No telephones in the dugout unless they've actually been disinfected after every use. Who touches the telephone? Your manager touches the phone, and maybe the pitching coach touches the phone. That's it. If you've tested people before they've even gone into a dugout, if they've walked into a stadium, if you've tested them, what the hell are we talking about here? It's the stupidest thing of all time. And the list, we're going to continue on this list in the next segment here. This is crazy. Who picks that telephone up? We have the same thing over in the bullpen. All right, so the bullpen coach will pick the telephone up. That's it. Why do you have to disinfect the damn telephone after every time you touch it? Now, look, from a baseball standpoint, I can tell you, my on-the-field experience, also as a coach, this is the most ridiculous thing or list of proposals I have ever heard. Folks, tell you what, don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Circus. We're going to take a deeper dive into this. Back in a few minutes. Back in a few, don't go anywhere.